The winter of 1944 did not arrive quietly. It came screaming across Europe on steel tracks, carried by engines, frost, and desperation. On the Western Front, the war had entered a dangerous phase. The Allies had landed. France was bleeding its way toward liberation. And yet, the German war machine, wounded but not broken, was preparing one last, violent answer. 7 Panzer divisions stood in the path of the American advance. Hardened veterans. Steel beasts crewed by men who had survived Russia, Africa, and years of relentless combat. They were not meant to be destroyed in a week. They were meant to stop everything. In Berlin, Adolf Hitler studied maps under harsh lights. His fingers traced the lines of retreat and resistance. His voice, once thunderous, now carried a brittle edge. He still believed in decisive blows. Still believed in iron will overcoming material reality. Then reports began to arrive. And they made no sense. On the Allied side, the situation was grim. Roads were clogged with mud and snow. Supply lines stretched thin. Weather grounded aircraft and choked visibility. German units were regrouping, counterattacking, digging in behind rivers and forests. Commanders spoke carefully. Cautiously. No one promised speed. Except one man. General George S. Patton did not see obstacles. He saw invitations. To Patton, war was movement. War was momentum. War was pressure applied until the enemy cracked or collapsed. He believed hesitation killed more men than bullets. When intelligence confirmed the presence of 7 Panzer divisions concentrated across a critical sector, many expected delay. Consolidation. Careful probing. Patton ordered engines started. He stood before his officers, helmet under one arm, eyes hard and alive. His voice cut through the cold air like artillery. "We're not going to hold them," he said. "We're going to break them." Some exchanged glances. 7 divisions. Armor, artillery, veterans. Impossible odds. Patton did not blink. The first blow came at dawn. American tanks surged forward, engines roaring, treads grinding frost and mud into the earth. Infantry advanced behind steel, rifles tight, breath fogging the air. Artillery batteries opened up, firing blind through mist and snow, walking shells across German positions with practiced precision. German commanders reacted fast. Panzers rolled to meet the attack. Anti-tank guns fired from concealed ridges. The air filled with smoke, metal, and screams. This was no rout. This was a fight. Patton pushed harder. He refused pauses. He refused rest. When units reported resistance, he demanded flanking maneuvers. When roads were blocked, engineers cleared them under fire. When fuel ran low, convoys drove through shelling to deliver it. The front lines blurred. The battlefield stretched and twisted. German formations found themselves engaged on multiple axes, forced to respond instead of dictate. By the second day, the pattern became clear. Patton was not attacking one division at a time. He was attacking all of them everywhere. German radio traffic crackled with confusion. Units reported breakthroughs that did not exist an hour earlier. Supply columns vanished under airstrikes when weather briefly cleared. Command posts relocated again and again, always just behind the advancing Americans. Panzer commanders requested permission to regroup. Permission did not come. In Berlin, Hitler stared at the situation reports. His generals spoke of aggressive American armor, relentless pressure, and an enemy commander who did not behave like the others. Hitler's jaw tightened. Patton, he said, the name sharp on his tongue. He had heard it before. North Africa. Sicily. France. He dismissed concerns at first. He always did. He spoke of resolve, of ideological strength, of the inevitability of German victory if only men obeyed orders without question. But the map told a different story. By day 3, 2 panzer divisions were no longer operationally coherent. Not destroyed, but fragmented. Battalions isolated. Fuel depots captured or destroyed. Communications severed. American units exploited every gap. Patton drove his commanders mercilessly. "Don't wait for perfect," he barked over field radios. "Perfect is dead. Move." The German counterattacks came hard. Tanks charged through smoke. Infantry assaulted with grenades and machine guns. For brief hours, the line buckled. Men died in burning vehicles. Medics dragged wounded through snow-stained dark and heavy. But Patton refused withdrawal. He shifted reserves with brutal efficiency. He reinforced success, not failure. When one thrust stalled, another accelerated. German forces found themselves reacting, always too late, always under pressure. By day 4, American armor had penetrated deep into rear areas. Panzer divisions were being encircled. German officers argued. Some demanded breakout attempts. Others called for fallback positions that no longer existed. Air support was scarce. Fuel was critical. Ammunition dwindled. The Americans never slowed. Patton's headquarters was a storm of maps, telephones, and shouting aides. He barely slept. He lived on coffee and fury. He sensed collapse before others dared to say it. "Keep them running," he said. "Men who run don't aim." On the 5th day, the battlefield shifted decisively. American forces struck a critical junction, roads, rail, and river crossings converging in one frozen corridor. German armor attempting to redeploy ran straight into prepared kill zones. Artillery roared. Tank guns flashed. The ground shook. Panzer after panzer burned. German crews abandoned vehicles, retreating on foot through forests already crawling with American infantry. Entire formations disintegrated into fragments. Reports reached Berlin. 7 panzer divisions were no longer combat effective. Hitler erupted. He raged against his generals. Accused them of cowardice, betrayal, incompetence. He demanded explanations for how a single American commander had dismantled what months of preparation had assembled. His voice echoed through the bunker. "This is not strategy," he shouted. "This is recklessness rewarded by chance." But inside, something colder settled. Fear. By the 6th day, the outcome was undeniable. American units linked up behind German lines. Prisoners were taken by the thousands. Equipment littered fields and roads, abandoned, destroyed, useless. The once feared panzer formations existed only as names on paper. Patton toured forward positions in a jeep, helmet dusted with snow. Soldiers stared as he passed. They were exhausted. Dirty. Shaken. And victorious. He spoke to them simply. "You did your job," he said. "Now stay sharp." He knew war did not end cleanly. In Berlin, Hitler sat in silence. He studied the final report. 7 panzer divisions. 1 week. Gone. He finally spoke, his voice low and controlled. "Patton," he said, "does not fight like the others." It was not admiration. It was recognition. The destruction of those divisions altered the war's momentum. German reserves vanished. Defensive plans collapsed. Allied commanders understood what had happened, even if they struggled to explain how. Patton had not won by numbers alone. He won by tempo. By audacity. By refusing to let the enemy breathe. He imposed his will until the battlefield bent around it. Historians would later argue details. Timelines. Logistics. But soldiers remembered something simpler. They remembered a general who believed speed was mercy. That relentless pressure saved lives by ending fights before they dragged on. They remembered being told to move when moving felt impossible. And they remembered watching the most feared armored force in Europe fall apart in 7 brutal days. Hitler never underestimated Patton again. But it was too late. The front kept moving. The war kept closing in. And the man who believed momentum was destiny had proven it on frozen ground, under impossible odds, with desperate men and unbreakable resolve. History would record it plainly. When Patton struck, even panzer divisions learned how fast an empire could bleed.